In this video, we will be concerned with the forms of innovation. Now, innovation is a broad term and involves various definitions and meanings for different people and different organizations. It's almost impossible, well, difficult at least, to get an agreement, a broad agreement on what we mean by innovation. In the classes conducted here at Galton College, we've settled on the idea of it being a newness, a new way of working, or a new product. So anything associated with the word new, we tend to connect it to innovation. Why something new would come along, of course, is the product of entrepreneurship. So the entrepreneur thinks of an idea, thinks of a product, or thinks of something new, and then innovates. Now, innovates could be taking an existing product and changing it, or taking an existing process, work process, for example, and changing it. That's innovation. It's delivering on the idea of entrepreneurship. There are three main categories of innovation. There's product innovation, service innovation, and process innovation. Now, often we run product innovation and service innovation together, but just to be a little more careful about our words here and about the way we look at innovation, it's best to separate them out and look at them separately. So we've got product, service, and process. Process being the production of something, the use of technology or the use of machinery, or the production of some product or the delivery of some service. Now, let's start with the product innovation. A product is used by consumers as a tangible object and is used as part of consumption. So a product tends to be tactile. We can touch it. It's a real thing. So products tend to be tactile. They tend to be tangible. We can see it. We can experience it. We can touch it. So that's the meaning of product. Now, tangible product can be physically seen and touched. Just to elaborate, for example, mobile phones, televisions, a vacuum cleaner, a refrigerator. It's a product. A car is a product. It can be touched. We can experience it. We can see it. We can touch it. We can walk around it if it's a car and get different perspectives of it. It's a physical entity. A product innovation, therefore, is a new tangible object used for consumption because it's an innovation. Innovation means newness. Something new has been developed. So it's a new tangible product. So it's something which has been perhaps partially based on something which went before, but has now evolved and changed because of the influence of the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is alert to business opportunities and alert to profit opportunities. And the entrepreneur is looking for ways to change the product to make it more appealing in the marketplace. So a product innovation is a new development, but perhaps based on a previous one. Product innovation is the most common form of innovation. For example, the Apple iPhone is a product innovation. It changed the mobile phone industry. But we can go back through time and we can see products that changed society in quite dramatic ways. The invention of a television, it radically changed the way we live, the way we get our entertainment. The development of the radio before that, and so on. So we are, in the present time period, using innovations that came up through the years, but we are still innovating. The fact that there is an Apple iPhone doesn't mean everything has stopped. The Apple Corporation are constantly bringing out new versions of their phone, new functionality, new facilities on the phone. But competitors are also trying to beat Apple. And that's the competitive process, which is at the heart of capitalism. The companies are trying to outwit each other, bring out better products. But in so doing, giving us, the consumers, better products to work on and to work with and to experience. So innovation is an ongoing process. It doesn't stop. Eventually, someone will come up with an idea which may replace the mobile phone. When that happens, we will all be shocked, but we will want it. It'll be something new again. But at the moment, we can't see it. It will take some entrepreneur looking at the way we live, looking at the role of mobile phones in our lives, will think that he or she can change it, can change that in a radical way, and we will have a new product. So we get incremental changes to products, which we call innovation, and then we get quite radical changes to products, which would be a new invention or a new way of doing something. The mobile phone is an innovative product because it is viewed as a new and efficient mobile phone compared to previous conventional brands on the market. If we think back far enough, phones made phone calls. And then phones could send a text message, very limited text message, but could send a text message. And then the phone had the facility of storing a call. Someone called and you missed the call, it was stored. And you could access it later. And these were all innovations until we get to the present state where mobile phones now have so many functions, it's tiresome to just list them out. They've got compasses and torch lights and radios, television. Everything can be received on. It's got Wi-Fi, the internet. It can make phone calls still, and it can still record phone calls that have been missed. But in the meantime, it's got applications that run on this mini computer, which is what it is. So the phone has moved from being just a simple phone to now a computer in our pocket that is capable of making phone calls, but it's also capable of many other functions. The iPhone is a new and improved technology and is accepted in the market. This encourages customers to make a purchase. Customers like modernity. We like modern things. It's fashionable. But it's not just fashionable, it's functional. And it's functional in a way which is attractive to customers. It's able to do many functions that hitherto were not even considered possible. If we go back 20, 30 years, the computer industry was working with very large machines. Certainly not mobile. You couldn't carry it around. Or you could, it would be very difficult. Now, a mobile phone is able to access a database. A mobile phone is able to scan a document. We're able to take high quality pictures, edit videos, all on a mobile phone. So This was quite radical. This was new, and it changed the way we lived. Now, service innovation, well, these are intangible objects where a customer will utilize these, but not acquire the object. It's a service. There isn't an object to acquire. We're acquiring the service, the satisfaction from accessing the service. Services are aimed at customers. A few examples include education, insurance, restaurants, healthcare, social media, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So these are services. Someone may enjoy using, let's say, Facebook, but they don't own Facebook. They enjoy using it. We go to a restaurant and have a meal. We don't buy the restaurant. We buy the service. Someone has cooked the meal for us. And the same in education. We don't buy education, we buy the services of the educational institution. We buy the services of the tutors and the administrators and the people who maintain the institution. So we're buying a service. It's not something we can touch, it's something we can experience. Service innovation includes the introduction of new and improved service applications. If we consider education for a moment, classically education was an activity that took part in, let's say, a schoolroom. And within the schoolroom there was a teacher or a tutor and some students. And the technology could have been quite basic, a piece of chalk and a blackboard. And that would be the experience the students had. It was a service, and that service was then innovated. So the blackboard became later on a whiteboard, and then eventually the tutors were able to project images onto the whiteboard, similar to a cinema, projecting an image. And the students could gain from looking at pictures as opposed to just looking at a blackboard and relying on the tutor having legible writing skills. But later it grew again to the use of computers in the classroom, until now we have education online. And the experience that people get with education online is a lot different to what students in a classroom may get. The students in a classroom will get the services of a tutor. But if the student is late for the class, the student will have missed the class. If the student is ill, they will miss the class. If the tutor does not do a good talk because the tutor, he or she was not prepared for that particular talk fully, then the students will not have had a good experience. So out of this, we get to a stage where the tutor is now able to get the same class over and over and over and make notes from it at his or her own pace. Whereas in the past, they had to take notes in a classroom from a tutor, and the tutor may have had a cold and not be completely coherent. So the point I'm trying to make is that we have now moved to a different way of living, a different form of service. And this is applied to healthcare, to education, as I said, to the legal profession. It applies in many aspects of our lives. And this is all the product of innovations coming through. Product innovations tend to be more successful than service innovations. This is due to tangibility and eye-catching elements of physical innovations. We don't get too excited about something we can't touch. We see apps on a phone. We think the app would be useful, but it's, generally speaking, normally not very high priority to us. It's something we'll think about and we might get later. Whereas something physical, if it's innovated, may attract us to a much greater extent. If a car has a new innovation, has something new for the driver, computer-assisted driving, or new entertainment system in the car, that would probably be more attractive. At least that's what the feedback from the market seems to suggest. The internet has played a significant role in the development of service innovations. For example, PayPal, Amazon, Facebook, Google. And again, what we're seeing is some very big companies almost controlling that particular development. It's a very important development for us within society, but it does fall into a few very big companies, into their hands to develop it and grow it further. So we can think of Microsoft, Google, Amazon. These are the types of companies that are setting the pace in terms of this type of innovation. A service innovation can be the result of new technology which enables a new service to customers. So it could be that just simply a new technology comes along. We see it again with computers. We would like to have computers be able to do many tasks, but in the past that was not possible because the processing power of the computer was simply not capable of doing it. We might want to send large files to our work, to the office, or to our colleagues. We can't send large files in the past, or we couldn't, because Wi-Fi was quite restricted. Now, more and more people are getting a better service of Wi-Fi, so we're better able to use the network. There are still areas where it needs further improvement before we can fully utilize it. But then again, the technology is moving on. We're now talking about videos in 4K, which are a lot bigger file sizes than in the past. So although we've got more Wi-Fi capacity, more speed on the network, we tend to be sending larger files. So a lot of innovation in one sector will be joined up with a lot of innovation in other sectors. And to get a good experience, the consumers really need all of it to change and to be innovated together. We need, let's say, mobile phones to have the ability to display 4K videos and to have good sound systems and so on. But we also need the network to be able to deliver these. Products and services were developed using processes such as new machinery, and this is called capital goods. So we use capital goods to produce physical products. Factories may have machines that produce machines. Factories may have machines that produce machines that go on to make final products. Or it could be a long process. We could have machines making machines that make machines that make machines that make the product. So we have capital goods, and the capital goods themselves will be subject to innovation. A company may have a machine to bend metal. Well, someone within the company may come up with an idea of a better way of bending the metal. That's an innovation. And eventually other companies will start using that innovation. And then someone else will come up with a different way of doing the same process. So we find innovation not just in the consumer market, we find it in the capital goods market, where there are new machines. We have computer-aided manufacturing techniques, where the machine operators now program a computer to do a particular task. And through the use of sensors, the computer is able to produce a product to very high tolerances, which perhaps would have been a real challenge to a skilled artisan even. A process innovation can be a new piece of equipment, machinery, new methods and systems. Innovation can happen anywhere within an organization. It can also happen at the end with the product that's produced. But it could happen right from the start to the end. It could happen in the stores where the raw materials are kept. A new computer-aided system of logging materials in and out and controlling the stocks and generating more efficient use of the resources in the stores. So it can happen anywhere, from the stores to manufacturing to delivery to logistics to billing and finance to marketing. So the process of innovation runs right through. It plays a big role in society. As I said, new processes bring new changes and enables efficiencies. If we didn't have innovation, then we would stagnate. We would have the same world year in, year out. We would do things in the same way. There would be nothing new. And that's not something we have become accustomed to. That's not something we've even experienced. Ever since the Industrial Revolution, there have been changes. When steam was first used, that was radical. That was a big change in society. Before steam, there was reliance on horses and horse-drawn carriages. But then steam and the steam engine came along, and it was faster, and it was more powerful. And eventually, through the work of other people in other areas, electricity was developed, and telephony, and eventually radios and televisions and mobile phones. So we lived in a world, one of constant change. Some pundits say that at the moment we're experiencing more change than mankind has ever experienced before. That may be the case, or it may not be the case. It's certainly the case that a lot of new ideas are coming out apparently every year, or every few months we get some sort of big proposal. So we live in an innovative world, and the people who live in the world with us are innovative. Process innovation allows organizations to utilize efficient methods in manufacturing processes. As I said, we think of innovation in terms of the final product, but innovation can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere throughout the organization. So we live in a world where the manufacturing processes are under scrutiny by innovators. They're looking at the processes to see if they can improve the process, perhaps cut costs, improve the quality, improve the throughput, improve the safety for the workers who are working with the equipment. Process innovation can be new systems and new methods of working. For example, Fredrick Taylor and scientific management. The idea there was to try to integrate people and production processes to try and get a more efficient output. And Taylor is the subject matter of several videos on the course. Another process innovation was Henry Ford's moving assembly line. That didn't happen before. So we see right throughout industry the use of innovation. And that process is likely to continue. We can't tell the future, but it's likely to continue. And we live in a world where we have a greater tolerance towards innovation as well. So those are a few ideas about the forms of innovation and just general topics about what innovation involves and where we can experience it, and the importance of innovation to us as consumers. But that's all we're going to deal with in this video, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.